Welcome everybody from around the country. Thanks for everybody showing up early today. We got a huge turnout. My name's Chad. I'm going to be hosting today because my partner Jim is on the road, but he is with us. So as long as he can behave and not make a bunch of noise, we'll leave him unmuted to participate. This is Mastermind Call number 92. It's September 15th, tax day. So if you guys haven't paid your quarterlies, panic now and get to the mailbox. So this is 92. We've got one person in the queue. I think this is probably Sandra. Jim just spoke with one of our subscribers who's been with us for several months, and she's killing it up in New York. So we're going to hear from her. Anyone else who has a success story, if you have any questions, anything you're getting stuck on, anything you don't understand, if you're a new subscriber, there are no bad questions, commentary. Like, guys, this is a call for all of us to learn and help each other. So please jump in the queue, press *6, wait a moment, and then press 1. As you may have heard at the beginning of the call, we are doing the mastery class, the September mastery class this week. Going well. The new format has really, really improved that. Anybody who wants to jump in the October class, it will be around mid-October. I know a lot of folks are asking when the next one is. So mid-October. Jim, are you anything you want to share today?
No, I'm really excited about having Sandra share with us. And before she does, she called and I kind of cajoled her to take a 20 minutes, a half hour, and tell us her story. But what was particularly exciting for me, Chad, was I think she is the third or fourth agent we've had in her market. And we had a couple others that tried it for a month or two, said it didn't work, and kind of quit. And I think it just serves as an excellent example that you got to stick with us. You know, we have a lot of agents that have huge success right out of the box, and we have just as many that it takes a few months to get going. And we have way too many agents that I talk to that just send mail. I mean, we have an agent in Florida that I think a lot of you have spoken to that did 18 deals last year just with mail. But if you're in a competitive market like Sandra is, if you're in New York City or Miami or Los Angeles or a highly competitive market, these people are getting a lot of mail. You got to pick up the phone and follow that mail up with a phone call. We had a gentleman last week, I think was our third or fourth agent that we'd had in New York City, and he had generated a half a dozen leads in 5 days. And he gave a great testimonial to kind of speak to that point, that in markets like that, he said the agents told him, you know, I probably got 30 letters. I mean, the sellers told him, I got 30 letters, but you're the first person that picked up the phone and called me. So good things happen to people that make them happen, and hopefully that's her in the queue, because that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to appreciate her taking the time, and just remind everybody else that we have time for probably 5 or 6 people on this call. So please hit *6 and hit 1 if you would like to be next.
All right, Anonymous, you are live.
Hello?
Sandra? Hey.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is this Sandra?
Yes, it is.
Well, thanks for coming. We thought that was you. Jim said you would be anonymous.
Thank you, everyone, for your support. I wanted to make sure I got on this call to share with you my experience here in New York. I took over the Nassau County area, and I began the program in October. The first month that I took it over, I started with the mailings, and then I did the phone calling. And as of today, I've closed $3 million worth of properties, and I have to say, of the 12 listings that I've taken, 3 of them were from my very first month of doing the probate. And the business has been going so well that I decided to leave my brokerage, and I started my own company.
All right.
And you've named it Probate Realty, right?
No, I need to highlight.
I'm just kidding.
I think that was taken, maybe.
I'm just kidding. That is awesome. And Sandra, you called me this morning to add another county. So
Correct.
As far as we're concerned, keep it up, and you can have the whole state of New York. Although we do have other agents there, so I don't want to speak too soon. I mean, in other counties in New York, but not where you're at right now. Go ahead, Chad. You had questions?
So Sandra, tell us about your campaign. Are you doing the 3 letters, 3 phone calls? Are you changing that up more or less? Tell us a little bit about what you've
My
done out
first month, I started off with the phone calling and also the 3 mailings. I always do the 3 mailings every month, and I make sure I put that in my calendar. I stopped doing the phone calling because I knew I was going to leave the brokerage, and I didn't want to leave too many listings with them, because you know how that can get. But right now, I'm going to start doing the phone calling again. I have to tell you, it does take time for some of these people to respond to you. I just got a call yesterday from someone who was actually I had solicited starting in October. So some of these people are very emotionally distraught. I do get, people who are a little angry at me for even thinking about sending them a letter. So, it's not a big deal to me. I just keep going. But there are a lot of people who need our help. They don't know what to do. And the best responses I get are from people who do not live in New York. People who live in New Jersey, Connecticut, Arizona. I got a listing in Lawrence, which is in Nassau, from one of the letters I sent that was international in Israel. And she contacted me to list the property. And it's just amazing. People do respond. You just have to be, keep doing it and don't give up.
Now, I find that these are the most, just the best clients in the world. They're the most receptive to professional opinion and pricing strategy. Are you finding that they're very cooperative and easy to work with?
Most of these people don't really know the market here, so they depend on me to tell them the price point. And it's always a different situation. I might go to a house that needs to be totally redone, and then sometimes I get a house that it's a co-op even, and there's no work to be done. They just need someone to sell it for them. So it depends, with each property. But I do try to get in the property as soon as possible. My biggest competition is other investors. I think the investors are also doing the same list. So by the time I go to one of these houses that, the seller is only going to show once on a weekend during a snowstorm, I have to be there with my investor ready to make an offer.
Yeah. So let's talk about differentiation. So you got all that competition. It's fierce. They get there early. So what do you do during the initial conversation to really kind of differentiate yourself and let them know that they should get you and do business with you instead of those guys?
One of the things that I think is very helpful is you need to have some kind of presence on the internet. And I find that all of these people are looking me up on the internet to see, number one, if I'm truly a realtor and what kind of activity am I doing. So I have a free account with Zillow. I have a profile there. I have recommendations from people. So by the time that they've looked me up, because before they call me, they're already looking to see if they can find any information about me. Then they'll say, okay, this is a true realtor, and they'll call me. But you need to have an internet presence. And then when you're speaking to them, they already are in the mindset that they either want to sell or they want to list. So either it goes to an investor or I put it on the market on the MLS for a regular buyer.
Yep. I'll tell you what I found. I could tell when the mailman went down the street by looking at my site analytics, because the day my mail would be delivered, I would see my web traffic jump. And the website is it's a great extension of the letter and a really good credibility piece. And that's one of the reasons, well, it's the reason why we provide the WordPress sites we do, because people do that. And I did, send the letters, and in the PS line, I would put, PS, if you're not ready to talk yet, you can learn more about us at, and then a domain. And it was amazing. They were come list me calls. Like when people call my office, it's, hey, I got your letter. I've checked you out. When can you come over here? And it was literally that easy. I was joking about it in the Facebook group yesterday, but it literally, like, when they get a letter, they get another letter, they go to your website, they go to your Zillow profile. Like, by the time they call you, they're convinced they're doing business with only you.
Yeah, it's an easy sale after that. I mean, once they meet you and they've done their research, they're just looking to see what price. Normally I ask them, well, I know you checked out Zillow and you're looking at other sites. What's the price point that you're looking for your property? And they'll come out with like, I want 400, I want 500, whatever the number is. And if I could get that information out of them before I go to see them, I've already vetted my investors to see who is willing to pay that kind of money for that particular property.
Right, and you've also kind of gotten their price expectations, so if they're way off base, you know that's where the conversation needs to go in the listing appointment.
Correct.
And that's you did master with me back in the last winter, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so in session 3, we spend a lot of time on kind of those little tips and tricks and why, like asking the right questions in the right order, and that's one of them. I like to know, and I'll never discuss numbers on the phone, but I want them to tell me. I want them to show their cards. So if I'm walking into a landmine of unrealistic price expectations, I want to be prepared for that.
Correct.
And the reason I ask if they were the really responsive clients is even the ones that have been off base on price, as soon as I kind of show them my market absorption analysis, they're just like, oh, well, that's disappointing, but all right, let's do it. Because they trust you so much. Like you know, you're so transparent and you've given so much information and options that they tend to just go with your professional opinion, which is awesome because you get home sold quickly. And we, obviously sell for the most amount of money, but well, that's great. So now let's talk about the hard stuff. You've gotten 12 listings. You've gotten shut down a few times. You've ticked some people off. Like, what's the biggest objection you hear? Like the most common, and how do you overcome those?
I think because I worked for a previous brokerage and they had a certain commission structure that needed to be followed. That's why I didn't secure some of the listings that people wanted to give me, because those things were not negotiable. So commission is an issue. And then sometimes when I take an investor to the property, the sellers definitely have an unrealistic expectation for the price point for that property. And then another agent will list it at that number, and it'll just stay there. So I monitor that listing because I know it's going to go on into the expired.
Yeah. I tracked it for a year in my market, and 77% of estate homes expired.
Yep.
And that was part of my big aha. I'm like, holy crap, there's a better way to do this. Like, these people are, like, that's a disservice in my opinion.
Yes.
And just testing the market. And when I use those statistics in those conversations that some people just can't be reasoned with. You just have to
yes,
know
that's
the ones.
True.
So, well, thank you so much for sharing. I couldn't be happier that you've made a ton of money and you've got a business it sounds like you're really proud of, and you've stepped out on your own. So thanks so much for being with us and picking up another county, and I can't wait to hear the next update.
You got it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, guys. Tim, my partner Tim, and our CEO, he showed up after we started with Sandra. Tim, are you there?
I am.
All right. Well, we got one more person for you.
Yeah. First off, that's just an awesome testimonial from Sandra, and we couldn't be happier to hear wonderful things like this. And I think it just shows that perseverance works and really getting it done works. And we know that we do everything we can to try to deliver a good product and a good approach. And it's great to hear people being successful. And I think the one thing I would point out about that, I got two things to say, I'll just get this out of the way, is that it is indeed a system. It's not just here's a lead and, it'll work if you call them. It's not just here's a lead, it'll work if you mail them. We created a system. We think the system works well. And we know that when people deploy it properly, they're going to have some success. And we work really, really hard to make sure that we arm you with the right folks to talk to and the right things to say. Chad does a great job of training that process, and we'll help you all the way. But, you've got your role to play, and when you do it well and you work hard at it, you have the kind of success that Sandra just shared with us. And I'm so tickled to hear that. That's just great. The only other thing I was going to add, Chad, is we've been frequently asked on these calls to talk a little bit about, what we're doing and, where we're growing towards. And one of the biggest questions is we've talked for a while about releasing some new technology. And I will tell you that our current target is we're about 2 weeks away from that. We hope to have it out the door and in your hands by the 1st of October. And that will make what you're doing even easier. And we look forward to talking with you more about that. And we'll probably do a special intro call to kind of explain it to you and all that as we go forward. But people have been bugging us for time frames, and that's kind of what we're shooting for.
Okay, we've got one more caller in the queue, guys. We've got time for more than just one more question. So please, if you have anything that you want to cover, any questions, *6, wait a moment, and then press 1. Phone number ending in 8328. You are live.
Hey, Chad, it's Chris from LA again. How you doing, man?
Hey, good. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm in the car, so forgive the background noise. We
No,
sent out our first batch of mailers out here in LA over the last week, and we just started making our outbound last night. And I just kind of wanted to role play through as the client and have you call me on an outbound just to get a better sense of what you're doing now and kind of what we should be doing, because I stumbled through some calls last night, but I'm sure with practice I'll get better, but I did want to at least get a sense of what you guys are doing now that's working well.
Sure. And before we start, I'll tell you to, if you haven't gone to our Facebook group, look up All the Leads Mastermind on Facebook, and in the top right, you can go to the search bars for search this group and put in the words role play, and it'll pull up I think we've got 11 archived role play calls in there. That's a very, a full version of what we can go through here today and kind of why we follow that progression. The other thing I'll point you to is in step 5 of subscriber resources, there's a document called the Probate Seller Interview Sheet. And I'm not a fan of scripts, that's why but that's kind of my replacement for a script. It's a conversation framework. And it kind of walks you through from top to bottom the progression of the conversation that I've found to be the smoothest and to build rapport the best. And it kind of, there's blocks in there of gray that kind of explain why you're asking those questions or why that's important. And it's in Excel format, so that, the idea is for you to customize that and develop your own language instead of, using some scripted language that we come up with. So when you get a chance.
I pull a copy of that. So I do have that. I just wasn't using it as the script when I was calling.
Yeah. So when you listen to those role play calls, have that in front of you, and it'll start to take shape, and you'll kind of be like, oh, okay, I see. So what I'm going to first do is what I call the probate USP, and that's my unique selling proposition. I want to up front, and I've really learned that most people's questions or objections on a cold call are, who the hell are you? How did you get my information? And what do you want? What can you do for me? And if you can address that up front, just hit it head on with it in a kind of wrapped in a USP, I find that it really breaks down walls and makes the rest of the flow. It allows you to engage and flow into the conversation. I'll always end that on a question. Then I want to learn about the people. Then I want to learn about the relationship dynamic among them. Then I want to set the appointment. And I've got the rest of the day to talk about the house, the finance, the personal property, and all that stuff. But so we can role play it up until the point where we take the appointment. But that's the order I'm going in. And I learned that the houses do not matter. Like, forget the house and how many bedrooms it has. Focus on the people first. Then focus on kind of the relationship and see if there are any red flags that are going to pop up, if they're ready to sell. And then if all those things look good, then set the appointment. And then go, oh, real quick, before I let you go, let me ask you a few questions so I can be prepared. And by that time, you've built enough trust to set an appointment, so you've got enough trust to keep them on the phone to answer all the technical questions about the actual property. So we'll run through that. If you want to call me, I will be the executor, or you want me to be the agent. So I'll call. You want me to call you, right?
Yeah, I want you to outbound call me.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Chris?
Yeah, this is Chris. Who's this?
Hey, Chris. My name's Chad Corbin. I actually sent you a letter last week, and I just had a few minutes. I wanted to follow up and make sure you got that and you understood why we sent it. You remember seeing a letter from Corbett Real Estate?
I got a lot of letters here. Are you a real estate agent?
Well, among other things, we're really more of a real estate advisor. We do a lot of different things. I understand you probably got 30, 40 letters. A lot of people, we hear that from most of our clients. Just real quick, what we do, we actually have a team of people. Brokerage is one part of what we do. We also buy houses and different things, but we've noticed that more and more families are, inherit properties and really just don't know what to do with them. So we've actually designed our company and our service around that situation, because most people that find themselves as an executor are a little overwhelmed and just don't know where to start. So whether that means, selling the home for a week to us or one of our cash buyers, getting the personal property cleaned out and sold, or even getting the homes completely renovated, we've got everything in-house where we can offer, a menu of options to folks in your situation. A lot of folks in Southern California are out of town, so they find a lot of value in us being here and kind of taking that off their plate. And I've just been talking. I didn't ask, is there a home in the estate that you guys are thinking of selling, or you could use some help with?
Yeah, I mean, there's a home. We're not entirely sure we're ready to sell it yet, but would be something we might consider down the road.
Okay. Is somebody in the family living there, or is it vacant?
No, we've got my brother's still there, so
okay.
It's a little tough. Mom passed away 6 months ago, and he's been in the property. He was there for years, and so now we're trying to decide what we're gonna do with that situation. He's been living there rent free for 5 years. So.
Well, and help me understand. So you're obviously the executor. Are there any co-executors, or well, let me ask it a different way. Who do you feel like should be part of the decisions as far as the estate and then the real estate goes?
Well, there's the three of us, my sister and my brother who's living there, and myself. So we're working through all of this stuff together.
Okay, but everybody's getting along, and everybody's going to be on board with whatever the plan is.
Yeah, I mean, eventually there's some challenges, where my brother's going to move, and
right.
We're going to split up the estate and all that the way Mom wanted. So, that stuff has to get sorted out, and we're working with the attorneys on figuring all that out. But we figure we'll have to sell the property at some point.
Right. Well, the reason I asked that, we're working.
Chad, I don't need to go deep into it. It's more about what I'm saying on the intro, because I've been having sales conversations for 20 years. I'm good once we get into the flow of the conversation. It's just really what am I going to offer up as the initial reason for contacting them.
So just focus on who you are, how you got their information. And I didn't say that, but sometimes I'll be as direct as to say, and we actually, because we've helped so many families who have inherited properties, we actually go to the courthouse and pull that list now and proactively reach out, because we know how stressful it can be and how much of a help we can be by taking most of that off your shoulders. And you answer those lingering questions in the back of their head is, who is this? And how did they get my phone number? All these people have already mailed me. Who is this guy? And just overwhelm them with value. And I cover a lot really fast in the beginning, because I want to control the conversation. Everybody's thinking about what they're going to say next. So I want to just flood them with as much value and details as I can, and then I want to ask them a question to change that, to kind of interrupt that state where they're gonna talk next, and I want them to answer my question. So I control the conversation in the front end until you kind of lead them into the conversation, and just continue to ask good questions. And once I know that I've got them listening, the questions I want to know are the ones I was asking you. Who do you feel like should be part of the decisions? Are you getting along with them? Is there a plan for the real estate? And then I'll ease you into that conversation. The next step up.
What if the response is no, there's no real estate in the estate, or we already sold the property that was there? What's the way to sort of back out of that conversation, or find a way to provide some value before you go?
Yeah, don't back out, man. There's always a way to help these folks. Statistically, they inherited $176,813. So there's a good chance they're going to buy something. Maybe it's a rental property. Maybe they're going to put their house on the market, buy a dream home. Maybe they're going to buy something in Palm Springs, a vacation property. So just be a good salesperson. Ask good questions. And maybe they need to, they've just come through one of the most painful things they've probably ever done. Why would they ever want to do that again? Maybe you can get them to your financial advisor and set up a true estate plan, so that their kids don't have to go through this. So
Right.
just ask good questions. Well, listen, Chris, congratulations. I'm sorry we didn't meet 2 months ago because I really would have loved to help you with the house. But, you know, even though we're real estate professionals, that's just part of the scope of the service we provide. We actually have a financial team that can kind of help you look at your options for, you know, the liquidating stock portfolios, moving those assets, how to reinvest life insurance. And we help, you know, honestly, a lot of folks, we help, you know, sell their own home and buy a nicer home or even build rental portfolios. So have you guys thought about what you're going to do now that you're kind of through this? Have you thought about reinvesting the money?
You know, we're not entirely sure whether or not we're going to, you know, invest in something or not. You know, maybe down the road.
Okay. Well, we've got the team that we use. I mean, whether you're investing $1 or $1 million, they give kind of the same level of service. And Jeff is the leader of that office. So if you want, I'll set up a time. Maybe me, you and Jeff can grab a cup of coffee and you can talk. They're like me. I mean, nobody's a high pressure salesperson. We're you know, of the provide value first mindset, and if it's something you decide to do, I think he's confident that he'll be the person that's, you know, that you'll come to. So would it be okay if I set that up for, say, Friday afternoon?
And what does he do?
He's part of a financial advisory firm, and within the firm, they actually have every license issued by the SEC. So they do, you know, obviously, you know, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, but they also do estate planning. We can help you plan so your family never has to go through this again. He does life insurance, both term and whole life. You name it. Anything, any security there is, they can do in their office. So that's why we partnered with them, because they're so well equipped to work with really any client that we send over there. So what they were going to do, they'll kind of sit down just like we do from the real estate side. They're going to understand your goals and your position today, and then give you some options to choose from. And they don't care how they help you. They just want to help. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there'd definitely be some value for us in that.
Okay. Well, listen, we're on your side of town. How about we grab the Starbucks on the corner of 32nd Friday at 2 o'clock? Could you make that?
Yeah, I think Friday at 2 would work for us.
Okay. It'll be me. I'll be there, and Jeff is the guy that will be with me. I guarantee I'll be the tallest guy in Starbucks. So
okay.
I'll see you at 2 o'clock.
All right, sounds good.
So, and there's a million different ways you can take that conversation.
Right.
You know, you can feel them out, see if they like their current home, if they're thinking about upgrading, if they've ever thought about investing. Get them, instead of setting an appointment, you know, if they're thinking about investing, instead of bringing my financial advisor to coffee, I would have brought my commercial lender from my community bank. And I would be prepared to talk about, you know, using that inherited money to create leverage to build a rental portfolio. And just think about all the ways that, you know, how can I help this person? Who can I bring to the table? And just keep the questions coming until you exhaust the conversation. You never know what you can get out of these.
Yeah, no, I mean, the end of one of my conversations last night after talking about how satisfied the guy was with his attorney was that he was setting up to inherit $5 million soon. So, you know, it's a good way to end a conversation. Let's talk about that when you get that.
Yeah. Can we be best friends?
Yeah. If you got, since there's 5, why don't you just give me 1? Then you'll still have 4. I think it'd be cool. Yeah. Well, cool,
guys, we are. Anything else, Chris?
No, I'm good there. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the question and role play. So, guys, we're at 1:30. One last chance. If you have a question, comment, success story, want to role play anything, press *6. Wait a moment, and then hit 1. And we have no. So, guys, that's a wrap. We're right at 30 minutes. Thanks, everybody who showed up. I'm going to get good at this eventually. I'm going to give you the Jim Sullivan line. Take something you heard here today, learned here today, were inspired by here today, put into action, and come back next week with a success story like Sandra's. Thanks so much for your time, guys. Have a great day.